Okay, I hope you guys know how to bring the software keyboard. Um, I do see some sort of design flaw here because see, as soon as my application is launched, it immediately gets a focus to the edit text and the software keyboard immediately pops in. Uh, I don't want only when the user taps because this behavior will come only when there is a first child as a edit text, or if there is an edit text in your screen when you try to get a focus, because an edit texts will try to get a focus because the user can edit it. So this thing we may not be the one which we are expecting. What if I want to see a screen, then user taps in, then he types a particular entry. So here in manifest there is a way to do that. Um, Go to the activity node or tag, something like Windows soft input mode, set to state hidden. Mode set hidden, state hidden. When you make it, now I'm going to run the code. Okay. Okay, let me add the same entry across all the screen. Now you see that there is no, the soft keyboard doesn't appear immediately, but only when you tap it, it will appear. So that is fine because it doesn't. In fact, while we write this application, we had a confusion over whether it is not coming in the center because of the soft input just changed everything. So it will come only when you tap the edit text, and the subsequent input can be handled in that way. Of course, I haven't updated the code. Okay. I'm going to use two different way to save the content. One is personalized content, which is exclusive for this app. I mean this phone, because phones are kind of a personalized one. Nowhere the phones are going to be used as a shared one. Computers maybe, but the phones are going to be a personalized one. So the registration data is maybe a personalized one. It's your own data. So I'm going to use preferences, a way to save the content. The second one, SQLite, I'm going to use. So let us create. I have a kind of idea. For example, keep all the constants in one single file, call it from there instead of keeping it somewhere. So let me create a class. I just created a class. Let me move all the constants over here. Okay, that's only two constants over here. Okay, these two, it's a shared preference. It's a kind of a miniature storage. Like if you learn JavaScript, there is a local storage exists, right? Similar to that, a small amount of data could be saved. Preferably primitive type, like string, integer, those kind of things. So it is called preferences. Another one is editor, which is same. Uh, Actually, it gives you a write access. I mean, it is allowing you to edit something on the existing. But I'm thinking some sort of way. Okay, let me try something. Just writing a user defined method, having an idea, we'll create a setter getter method. So anything you want to set, you can use this method to save it. For retrieving, you can write goes like a set get method using set preference. This is my idea. I'm trying to attempt. Let me see. Preference. Preference manager. I hope. Okay, great. Okay, preference manager. In fact, this is the one I want to explain. Manager classes. I mean, while we discuss about the architecture of uh, Android, there are a couple of manager classes which abstracts every information about certain hardware. SMS manager we have, which have every information, the way how to handle the SMS, and preference manager something is a centralized class which handles the way how to handle the data for the persistence saving it. Uh, there are a couple of manager classes like for handling calls, Bluetooth, Wi-Fi, and Android has segregated them as a major classes. So that will give you either read or write access. Will give you some option to utilize them. So I'm trying to get the preference manager. I'm trying to see, uh, get access to a default preference manager and get the edit. For example, um, give me the option to write. So I just created edit, put string. Now we may need a key and the value. Okay, I'll make it string key string. The commit will make sure your shared preference is value edited and the change is reflecting. Of course, the change is done and edit. When you make sure commit, you are saving it. Till the time only editor the value been assigned, but it is not saved. So these three lines for any key, any values supply, it will save it. I think we don't need a global option here. I think this guy expect a context. Okay, I think we need a context as well to be supplied. Those who could not get what I'm trying to create here, you will soon get it when I try to use this in the code. This is a user defined function. It's not something system defined one. I'm trying to get because I'm trying to use a shared preferences editor which requires a context, which requires a key, which requires a value. Everything I'm planning to supply through an argument wherever I'm using this function. Okay. Pardon? Context means who is accessing the shared preference. Maybe I will be using it from activity. Yeah, I'll be supplying it. Another one for getter. Okay. Same thing, shared preferences. This time, preference manager get, which also requires a context seems to be. Okay, we'll make it as a return value string. Will we need a key? Default value. Okay. We make a default value. Default value, we'll make it empty. Okay, this is a getter of the same. I mean, setter getter is a assumption the way I'm going to use these functions. A shared preferences where it gives me a right access and assign a key and a value and save it. This is this particular function where to save or set the value. This is retrieval of the same. Since I am trying to retrieve the value, I only need to supply the key that is more than that. But there are some chances before setting a value, try to access is there any existing value. So for that, it requires a default value. Default value I've just set to blank. So if there is no value set, it will return a blank value. Okay, so these two functions I'm going to use it for persist setting individual or personalized data or preferenceable data. Like I said, um, for your phone, ringtone is your preference, or whatever tone you're setting is your preference. Similarly, I'm going to save them into a preference. It can save the primitive data such as integer, booleans, but in this case, I'm only going to save a string. If you want, you write the respective. If you want to save the integers, write the respective functions. Make sure you have a two pair of functions. One is for saving, another one is for retrieving. The retrieving value would require a like right access, which is invoke like edit. So I'm going to use them. Let's see. It is always recommended to keep such a classes outside, so that wherever you can use it and whatever needed. Public, make it as a static function. I can directly access. I don't need to create an instance. I really don't want, because the way we have written the code seems to be does not require an instance. So we can directly call those methods. Okay, here it is, the registration activity. Okay, here we have a couple of edit texts. So I need to find what all they. Okay. First name, last name, username, password. There are plenty. Okay, let us create. Okay, first. Okay. What do you think r.id.f name? Remember, in Android system, every IDs are integers, are quite long integers. But it is a way I represent. But if you notice the return type, somewhere may try to find out the ID. Okay, it doesn't give me which type it is. Okay, the IDs are integers because the Android automatically create whatever IDs you create. It will create some sort of integer reference. At this point, all you need to understand, anything you refer from R or anything you're trying to get from resource file, which is going to give you an integer. So it has some sort of integer mechanism and create some sort of R file internally as you create a new IDs. So r.idf name, which is going to give you an integer type. Remember, that is very important. I'll show you the particular file where it is creating R on all the references. It is there in one of a folder. We'll come back to that. Password, is it a password correct? PWD. So when save button is clicked, we're going to call this function. Okay, everything looks fine. I think I need a global access for these guys. I hope I don't need to explain what is private, what is protected, and all the stuff, right? You know that difference. Okay. Uh, you need to add all the and all the stuff. So I'm trying to finish it faster. So I'm not writing couple of other conditions. I'm just checking first name is not blank. I'm trying to make sure it is not having a default value, nothing but a blank value. So if it is not there, you can save it. So save them, shopping, set string value, this. Okay, we may need a key. Okay, what do we do? Here we start defining the key values. Pardon? Just look at the set string value. Any value, yeah, it will associate a key with a value. Whenever you supply the key, you can get back the value. Okay, I just created two keys. I'll just show you how we can save it. First name get text to string. So at this point, when I execute this line, I'll be having my first name saved into a shared preference. It would have associated my first name with the keyword whatever I have decided. Then it would put saved it in the persistent. If I have to retrieve what is the first name, you can simply call, for example, string whatever get string value, supply the key first name. You will get back whatever the values which is being saved inside your preferences. So we just created the setter getter method to either save or retrieve. So in this case, the first one saving your first name, associating the first name with this key, whatever we have created. So whatever the user enters in the form would have got saved. And this is the second line which is helping you to retrieve it. Everything requires a context as a first argument. Since it's a static method, without initializing, without creating any instance, I'm simply calling the function and having it done. And it can be executed, this line could be called anywhere across your activity, because preference manager is a centralized one which gives access to wherever it is being called. All you need to know the context who is called. So this is for retrieval, meaning I'm not going to need it. Let me save everything. Yes. And here I have defined. I'm going to define every key, any constants are going to come, I'm going to define only in this class. To maintain them, I'm going to say only password, rest of the part I'll leave it to you guys. Or maybe one of gender I'll save it, because it's a having underscore as a starting point is my way of assuming it's a key. That's up to you. It's your design part. Because if I assume if I see underscore meaning, okay, I'm using this particular context for a key purpose. So for that viewing. Keep integer. And let me use the same thing. So use a, okay, we'll keep a number. This is for saving an integer value I created, because I'm going to save male as 2, female as 1. So if when I retrieve 1 mean it is male, when I retrieve 2 mean it is female, like that I'm going to keep. So I've just given the value because it's going to be between them. So I just created them also as a, I mean keys. Okay, let me see how I can use that. Which one? You can use it. Yeah, you can use it. Just an idea, that's all. Any way you can use it. Some people even prefer male, female also, they use it as a string by putting a, if a kind of comparison, they'll do it. But I want to show you integer is also possible, so that's the reason I'm doing it. Okay. It's a radio button, right? So radio button is male. I usually put a is prefix stating that choice. So it's a naming convention. So it's up to you again. Boolean. In fact, we could have used a boolean also. Because there is a checkbox also. So I felt okay, having integer will help us. That is also going to give a boolean. Okay, so now let us save that as well. Shopping. Okay, put a if condition. Is male is checked. While pressing the save button, if male is selected, save set integer value shopping gender. Else will do, but for better clarity, I will put a else if. So we just have them saved across in this way. So let me save the username, password. So it's a key. Key is always string, right? Always string. Values, yeah. So keys is nothing but a kind of a string. Any value could have been associated. Could be an integer, could be a boolean, could be anything. But key is always a string. Okay, so let me save because here I just need a username password, quite important. Shopping username get text. Sorry, string set string value equals shopping. I gave it as a password, I hope. Password. Okay, rest of the details you guys can expand it because there are a couple of checkboxes left. You can save in the same way. Okay, so whenever the user click on save button, his value will be saved. Okay, sometimes user may fill it half and go back. When he comes back, I want to keep them. So is there any way? First, let us first try to save it, but I can't retrieve. Okay, let me. Okay, thanks to our activity life cycle. Anyway, whenever the screen is going to come, the on resume is going to be called. So we can retrieve them, whatever data are there, we can retrieve and put it back. Or maybe on create itself is good because that's where it's going to be loaded very first time. Okay, I'll call in that on create itself. Okay. First name set text. This is the retrieval phase. Uh, Transfer. Again, make it slightly good. I'm just putting else if because I'm checking that, but else will do because radio button one single choice is possible. In this case, only two choice we have, but else will do. But if you have three or more choices, else it will help you. So that's the reason I'm adding them. G. Okay. Retrieving. If any value is there, it will retrieve and attach to the respective views. Or clicking on save will persist the data. It will also can be used for editing purpose because editor we have given the right access, anything can be edited. So let's see how it works. Sure. Default value. Yeah, default value will be coming because that's the reason that the preference is very cleverly asked. When you try to retrieve the value, if there is no value, a default value has been set. That's the reason I said sometimes we may call it before setting it. So in that case, a default value, a blank value is going to come because we have set a default value set to blank. So it's going to come. Yeah, that's the reason preferences. When you try to call that, they are asking a default value. It's running or no? Okay, let me. Okay, up to this only I have set it. Rest of the part I haven't set. So I'm assuming now I clicked it is saved. I can verify when I go back. When I come back, I have those values. So the value is persisting. If it is a previous case, I would be seeing a blank. But now the values are being saved. So let me change the value. So the changes are persisting. Okay, how it is actually saving? Remember, it can save a primitive data that I clearly told you. Don't try to save an array because arrays or array list are not a primitive type. It is a Java specific one because Java has the specific classes which modifies the way how the arrays are working. But if you want to verify whether the preferences have been created or not, you may have an option to verify that by clicking Android device monitor. This is particular icon. It gives you a debugging option with respect to the device which is connected. You can view the memory options, or you may see the file folder system behind it, and various things you can look at. This is my emulator, or this is my device in the left hand side. There is a file explorer. It looks like a Linux specific file and folder structure. In that, look for a folder called data, and one more time data. Find your application package over here. What's my application package name? It is app my company dev my shopping app. So I find it here. I cannot maximize this, so you can check. If you see that there is a folder creator shared preferences, and here one of an XML file would have been created, and this is where your data is being saved in a file system. You can pull that out. Uh, you can take that out and save it in your desktop to see what it is actually. I've saved it in my desktop. I'm going to open it. See, it created some sort of a XML formatted data. In this side, the left hand side, all your keys and the product. So it is maintaining in a file system and maps each value what you associate with a key. And this file will be kept as long as this file is there in your device. Your preferences are there. But the huge problem with this, when you go to the settings of your phone, clear cache or something, then clear memory option, this will also go. That's why I said it is a preference, may not be a pure persistent one. Preference can be cleared at any point of time. The user may opt for something else. Suddenly, if he clears the device memory, this is gone. But somehow it maintains. So you need to write your application in such a way, whenever the preferences is gone, let the user register again. I think it will happen to your WhatsApp also, right? When you clear everything, and when you try to launch your WhatsApp, it will go from the beginning, and it will ask you to do all those stuff from the beginning. Similarly. So the preferences is a kind of an XML file which maps your key and the value. It maintains in a file system. Because it is a file system, it doesn't have an indexing capability. Because you cannot read and find each other. So this file is created, and this is where your data is being persisted. Whatever the values you entered, you can find it. So this can be found by going to the device monitor. I'll let you know one more time. Open the device monitor. Make sure if you have more than one emulator, click on the emulator, because there are chances you may running more than one emulator. So make sure one emulator is selected. Go to the File Explorer tab and expand a folder called data, and again data. There you can find your application package. Inside there will be shared preferences folder. If sometimes your data is not saving, make sure you visit here whether this file is created. If the file is not created, something wrong in your preferences. So this is how it is going to be. But anyway, this information you may not require, but having this one will always help you to diagnose or debug whatever going wrong in your coding. Okay, so I found a way to save and retrieve value. In fact, this eliminates a lot of issues. Since it's the preference is a centralized data engine, data storage, I can call this anywhere across my activity. I can also use this to transport data between the activity, because once I save somewhere and can be retrieved anywhere. So this is one of easiest way to save your data. Remember, you don't need to follow such a systematic way to save it. You could have hard coded your key value, could have directly done it, but I want you to do it in a systematic way. Make sure the keys have been defined in a separate file so that you can manage them across everywhere. Don't hard code any keys whatever you are using in your code. Hard coding tend to give you typos. So chances are there you may be writing in a wrong key and trying to retrieve it. So this way would always be helpful. Male, female, I kept it as an integer. If you want, you can create a boolean type and have them stored according to your own way. But this is one way. Okay. Let us add one more utility function over here. I'm going to shopping.java again. The toast one, I'll write it over here so we can use it wherever we want. So wherever I call this, I can display the toast. So I don't need to override or rewrite everywhere I want. So here I can put a condition. I save it. Is there anything I made some sort of thing? Oh, that's good. If I don't put a static, naturally I would end up creating an instance from there and I could access it, so which we don't want. For example, any fields are going empty, you can display empty fields are not allowed, something like that. Okay, go to login activity. Okay, as soon as the user clicks on save, we let the user go back to login screen, let him enter and proceed further. Assuming in this case the save button is clicked, I'm going to inform the previous activity the save button is successfully clicked. Here I'm going to pass some more data to the previous activity. Previously we only send the result, something like that. I'm also going to bundle some data, send it to a previous activity. I just need a key. Already plenty of keys we have, we can reuse them. Especially I need a username. I'm assuming the value would have been saved here. I could have used the same preference to get it back, but I want to do like sending the data using the intent. Okay, now I added some more data along with my intent. Set result. Okay, I need a result code, which maybe I'll make it as a constant and intent. Finish. So when the user save that form, the form will get dismissed and it will go back to a login form. Why don't we put shopping toast? Put just display that. Okay, here on constant coming, whatever constant comes, we are going to go define over here. Final int reg result code. A number. Okay. So it will go back to the previous activity with additional data. Let us capture them. Pardon? I will pre-fill the username password. Instead of user typing it, I will pre-fill it. All you need to click this login. That's the one purpose. But my intention is to bring the data back. You may use it for any purpose. Okay, that is there in the login activity. So I need to adjust this code. Okay, first thing I need to capture them. For capturing them, we have a way to capture on activity result. So here we can capture whatever incoming data. Before that, we have to make sure whether I am launching the registration with the result request code. That is, yes, some request code is there. First thing, the same request code would be retrieved if request code we have to make sure it is the same request code we are getting. Then check, you can write in one single line, but up to you. Result code is also request code will be called whenever the activity gets closed, irrespective of whether returning result or not. The request code will be called whenever the on the top activity gets closed. In turn, it may either carry a result or may not carry it, because in a back button also will close the activity, save button also will close the activity. But whereas the save button will send me some data, whereas the back button will not send any data. So I need to make sure whether the on the top activity closed. When it is closed, does it give me any result? So in this case, I'm checking is there any result is coming. I hope it is correct. Okay. I need to have my edit texts initialized. Okay. I get a question on that whether which XML file I'm using. It is username and password. So username password field has been initialized. What else we have? It should be login button, I hope. Okay, here we'll comment for y. Okay, the third argument now we have to put into use. There is an object called bundle. Let me make the name as extras. Additional. I mean, not only result, there is also going to carry some sort of data. It is retrieved as a name data get extras. That's the reason I gave it name extra, because it is bundled as an additional extra value. Yeah. extras get string. Pass the same key. If the particular form filled successfully, it will get the username and password from the one of an activity which is about to get closed and bring it back to the previous activity, display in the respective edit texts. So whatever the username, password what I have entered. So that's an idea. Let it run. Meanwhile, I'll update the code. Pardon? Bundle is a, for example, it's a your own data type, whatever you create. Like you can create a class and put a setter, getter, whatever it is. Similarly, bundle is a an object where you can add a various key value pairs. So those key value pairs will be added as a bundle. Mean what it's just a kind of a wrapper where some sort of data is going to be there. So in this case, in the bundle, I added two strings, and the same thing I'm going to retrieve over here. So bundle is a kind of a data type. So while I close the activity, in this case the registration, I add some extra values. Not only the result code, adding two strings in this case. I map them with the keyword, username, and the password. These data also would have been added along with the intent, and now intent carries some additional bundles. Now that is being handed over here. I am getting back that bundle through data.get extras, whatever put extras, what you put, retrieve it back and open them, map it wherever required. So let me go for a registration. Okay, assuming now I entered something here, clicking save button, if you notice, the same username and password has arrived here and it is ready to go. So your on activity result, which captured the additional bundles whichever added along with the intent, and now it has mapped on your existing to edit texts. All the user need to click on login and proceed further. Okay, here we need to add a logic to check whether the username password is correct. So this is where on login clicked, whenever the login button is clicked. So I'm going to check if equals and am I missing any? Oh, sorry. Equals shopping. Some parenthesis is missing, I hope. If you really want to make sure, I split it as a additional if. Equals we have to make sure it is not set to blank. You can add it as a one single if statement, but I wanted to show, okay, that is also I'm checking. If the username is not set to blank, it will call the further this one. So you can put a so I'm checking various conditions. If at all it matches, I will allow the user to log in and proceed further. Otherwise, I would not allow the user to log in. I'll put the various toast messages. Either username or password is wrong or something. Please register and go ahead. I'm showing a lot of error. Any errors? There are a couple of errors. Error. Am I missing anything? Oh, context. Because all static method we have to pass the context. Yeah, let it run. This is, yeah, of course I said device is not a shared one. It is a personalized one. Nowhere a device can be used for multiple users. It is not cloud connected. As you said, it's not a shared one. But if at all, if it is required in web service section, we'll try to see that. Okay, when I enter something wrong, it should give me, oh, I put it into an integer one. Okay, never mind. It's going to say my username password is wrong. So unless I enter the right username and password, I set it as a number type. Make sure you change it because I saved it as a. Okay, let me make this as a number. So now it should have entered the right one. Now we are inside. So this app won't allow unless you enter the right username and password. Don't see the how secure it is, but somehow we made it as a working application. Point here is we are using making use of preferences to save the data, personalized data, and now the application only allows for a registered user. You can even something you can apply a logic saying that when the user successfully registered, you may even remove the registration button if the user successfully registered. You can write some logic. Try to see like user is already registered, remove the option for register. Then the user cannot register or he cannot even verify. But at this point, this register is there for viewing and editing purpose as well. But it's up to you. You can give this when the user successfully logs in. There you may add a button called edit registration data so that the user can change the password. Whatever way, it's up to you. So now this particular application is password protected. So okay. Here I would like to add some more changes. because editing screen is quite smaller. Why don't we take the data where I can add the content into a next activity? That also I can do. So user goes to that next activity, fill the form, and comes back and see the list view. That you can do it, but I don't have time to modify that. But you can do that since you know how to transport the data between them. Also, one of the way, for example, when the user successfully logs in, you want to send the data from here to next activity. Whereas in the previous section, we got the reverse bundling. I'm going to see the forward bundling now. So if I can send some data from one activity to another. In the previous case, we brought the data from one activity to another. The activity got closed and send the data back. And there is a forward way also to bundle, but it is the same way. Okay, here, this is where it is launching the main activity. I can add additional payloads. We need a key, shopping. Let's send the first name. In fact, I don't need to struggle this much. I could have used a preference to retrieve the value, but still, there is a way to do this. Last name also will send it. Thank you. That's why it may, if you try to do a typos possible, somewhere you will write the misspelling, you may not be getting. Yes, of course, you can hard code and do it. This is a perfect design. So a standard procedure of handling writing your code. Yes, of course. For example, if you feel okay, I really don't feel comfortable, what you can do? You can very well send it. It will perfectly will work. So all you need to use the same last name, the key to retrieve it. But writing in this way involve lot of programmatic errors because chances are they suddenly when you try to retrieve, you may misspell it. You may be finding difficult to retrieve the value. So it is better to define them as a constant and use them. Usually keys define it as a constant, try to retrieve wherever it is possible. Instead of some value, get the get text or preference. Single or multiple. Key nilo. Bundle always associate with the key value pairs. Without a key, no way. Okay. Okay, let me go back. So I'm just doing the forward bundling just before starting the activity. I'm launching it. It is going to main activity. Let us capture it. In onCreate, because that's where your application starts, there is a method called getIntent, getExtras. Make sure it is not null. Now map them. Okay, where we map? Maybe action bar title. I'm just showing that into a action bar title as a welcome, something like that. Okay, so we also know how to forward bundle and reverse bundle the data. But thanks to our preferences, we may not need this in fact, because the preference is a centralized one, can be accessed across anywhere. You can simply could have been used it. But when sometime you do not have preferences, you may want to send the data between the activities. We can make use of this idea. Okay, where is this done? I don't know. What is the username and password I gave? I don't know. Okay, typo. Okay. So anyway, it just brings the first name and append the particular title in this place. So in this way, the data is forward bundled. The data has been sent from one activity to another, just a forward direction. Whereas in the previous example, the reverse direction. So that activity was about to get closed, and before it gets closed, it sends the data back and gets closed. Everything happens with the help of intent. Remember, that's the reason the intent class is considered as a messenger, a message based class. It carries, not only carries the result and whatever status or status of your activity, it also carries additional bundles, data, or payloads, whatever it is. So it is carrying and bringing across different activity. You have only this way to forward and handle the data, as long as you don't have any static methods, because each activity runs in their own process. Activity.new activity name, it's highly impossible, and trying to do in that way will tend to, you will get a ANR or whatever errors. So somehow things are being made. Now we need to see the broader concept. SQLite. Everything is fine, but except this data here, I could not persist the data. The tab is not working. So I can save them, I mean I can display them, but when I go back and come back, of course I won't be seeing them. I'm not seeing them because I haven't used any way to save them. But my understanding, I cannot use the preferences in this case, because even though preference can save something, but in this case my requirement is kind of multiple data, which should have an indexing capability and various other ones. So this is a different persistent engine we have to use. Now for that purpose we have a SQLite. I mean, Android carries a micro database engine, a fully qualified engine, where you can write queries, select star from whatever, you can execute all sort of queries. It carries SQLite. It's a small C, written by C. It's a small C file, some sort of KB which is coming on board. But and it is also fully qualified. For example, it works with the thousands or 10,000s or more than data. It effectively handles. For 10,000 data for a phone, it is quite bigger. Okay, maybe the biggest database table, or sorry, biggest database in your phone may be your phone book, because that is the only one that's going to carry various information. You can also create your own database. First thing, the database is not protected by a username or password. First, again, because it is a personalized device, you don't need to apply a username password mechanism. Second, until you make it a shared one, all databases are exclusively for your application alone, not the other application can access your database. It is fully protected. In this case, fine. I'm not going to share my shopping data to anyone. So I'm going to write a database, or I'm going to write a class which can work as if a helper utility for a database, where I'm going to add, edit, or delete those contents or data. I'm going to create a table, and I'm going to write various maybe helper functions to handle all the CRUD or crude options, so that we can maintain these data sets. Before that, as we know, button has an on-click listener. Uh, this list view also has some sort of click listener. Let me try. So if you notice, I can click that. So there is a way to handle these click events, but it's slightly different than your on-click listener. In this case, on item click listener, because you may have more than one item. So it is going to be on item. So whenever I click on a specific item, you will be getting the adapter instance, because it is generated by an adapter. You will get an index of an item which one you got clicked. You can also get an ID of an item, which is ID or index. For example, if the table is retrieved by a database, it may have a primary. So that ID can also be retrieved when the particular item gets clicked. So event listeners we have to add. Since we are about to add some sort of delete function, I would like to put a warning to the user stating that, hey, we want to delete. Because for a perfect design, we should not let the user to delete the item abruptly. So we have to put a warning. So we are going to see two different things. One is event listener for a list before getting into a database. We have to see event listener for a list and also dialogues. In Android, there are various dialogues out there. I mean, date picker, to pick a date or time. Or you can also create your own dialogues, like one or loader dialogues. For example, you are trying to access internet, things are going to come. Or you are trying to load an image, a kind of a load. So, a dialog typically may contain two buttons. Go to the office. Go to the office. Go to the office. No, go to the office. You know, talking to the office. And office go to. Accept every. And office go to. Come.
ಬನ್ನಿ ಅವ್ನು ದುಡ್ಡಿದ್ರೆ ಕೇಳ್ತಾ ಇದ್ದಾನೆ ಒಂದು 10 ರೂಪಾಯಿ ಏನೋ ಕೊಟ್ಟು ಕಳಿಸ್ಬಿಟ್ಟಿದ್ದೆ ಇಲ್ಲ ಒಂದು 10 ರೂಪಾಯಿ 10 ರೂಪಾಯಿ ಎಲ್ಲರೂ ಕೊಡ್ಬೇಕಾಗಿಲ್ಲ ಎಲ್ಲಿ ಮಾತ್ರ ಗೊತ್ತಿಲ್ಲ
ಯಾರ್ಯಾರು ಬರ್ತಾ ಇದ್ರು So we are going to see the dialogue. A usual dialogue interface may have two buttons. One is to dismiss, cancel. Another one is affirmative. Okay. In Android we call them as a positive, negative buttons. So I'll also use the dialogues. So let us create a dialogue and finish the user experience. Then we can get into a respective menu, because we have to add option to add, edit, delete. Adding we have created already. Edit we have to work on. Let us see. So I am into a main activity where the list view is actually displaying the data as I start entering the values. One second. Okay, let me add a event listener for a list view. Okay, here's the list view. Set on item click listener. Say there is a word item. If you add the on item, sorry, if you add the on click listener, wherever you click the list, it will simply call it, which won't give you a what you call index or ID anything. So make sure you call the set on item click listener. I in fact prefer this way, but if you are feeling little difficult, there is a way to implement it and call it. So the same way you can do it. So it gives me a couple of options: adapter and the view. Of course, the chances are that you may have more than one list view in a single, which is highly impossible. Sometimes you may have that time which event listener, which view it is called, position and the ID. Position in index, ID. If it is a database, the primary key. But in this case, there is no database. Both will retrieve the same value. Okay, long is nothing but a bigger integer because we just need to tell like a database may accommodate a bigger integers. So those things. So whenever the list items gets clicked, I will get the index of an item. If you really want to test, you can put a toast and item what is that hash map we are using, right? I think I should move this item name and key to the shopping because we have a design strategy. Any keywords or any constant we will define, we will go and define in the shopping class website, in shopping Java class. But anyway, let it be at this point. Sorry, context missing. So whenever the item is clicked, it will display which item got clicked. Because I am just retrieving the item get position passing the index and it applying the key because it is a hash map of array list. Like it is a there is a hash map inside each instance. So in that I need to pass the object which one I am trying to print. So if you run it, you will get back which item you are trying to click. But not only to that, I would like to make few things. What is this actually? Items. It is an array list. In turn, it contains each instance of array list contains a hash map object. Each hash map object contains key pairs. In that, one of a key is item name. What I want to display is the item name. So first thing, getting the object. Okay, I'll break it down into a simple word. Like let me get back the hash map first. I got the hash map. In the hash map, there will be two keys. In that key, I'm trying to access item name alone, which I'm trying to display. So first one is trying to get the hash map object. In that object, trying to find the key and display the value. So I hope it is ready. Now it's a headache. You have to put a username password every time. So when I click on that, which item I'm clicking, I'm getting back. So I can use it for further edit or delete purpose. For editing, deleting, I can do whatever it is. Toast is little delayed, so because length long we have put. So when I click on orange, it is saying orange. When I click on apple, it is actually doing, it is giving you a index of an item or a particular view. Having that index, you are retrieving back your hash map from the hash map you are displaying. Okay. We have to use it for editing. First thing, I need to print the value over here, quantity, and add button turn into edit. We have to make it. Let's see. Pardon? Yeah, it has to be clicked, right? Hmm. Hmm. Because list view is dynamically generated. Because list view in turn has an adapter. Inside the adapter only the data is there. It is slightly a composite one. So that's the only way. Of course, an adapter instance is there. Through the adapter you can get back. It's going to be a roundabout way. Anyway, fine. But this is the nice question, of course. Fine. So we have to make it as a editing working item name set text. Item quantity set text. I just print them. So whenever this item is clicked, that's button, right? Let me make the button global. Remember, this is also one of our best practices. Only when the object requires a visibility, I will make it as a global. Add button or add item set text to edit. That will become an edit button. So whenever item gets clicked, probably we may need to give a clear option, but okay, this design is fine. But still, it is not for an edit. At this point, if I click edit, it will add because I haven't added the edit function. But anyway, we'll first verify whether things are going in the right way. Okay, assuming it is for edit, this is where it is happening. If this is for editing, this is for adding. We have to write different logic over here. Okay, this is also could be common. We need an index somewhere to be saved, so I may need a help of a object. This can also be used as a reference. Default value -1. -1 is my design strategy. Nothing has been selected. So in this case, selected item, I'm going to set it for position. Okay, I think we can slightly modify this as well. Instead of depending on and it is going to be and this turn into, again turn it back, we just set everything back to normal as soon as I edit. Add item set will require an index of an item which you are trying to modify, that will be map. So this will make sure the item is edited and the text of a buttons reset to add, and everything becomes normal. Again, you are resetting the index to -1 because nothing has been selected at this point. Edit went successfully. So we can put a toast. Uh, this. Okay. Okay. Selected item is nothing but an integer flag. It serves two purposes. It also acts as a flag. Also, it carries the index of an item which got selected. Just press, because in this screen, yeah. So in this case, so as I click, if I click on mango, the selected item value would be 1, because I am setting the selected item value inside the on item click listener, whatever item got selected. Or if I select orange, the selected item value would be 2, because the indexes start with a 0 value, 0, 1, 2. So as the item gets selected, see that there are the values being displayed and the word changed to edit. Now the user will click on edit. But we have the same button which is acting as a add and edit for the same purpose. So I need to identify whenever the button clicked, it is for edit purpose or saving purpose, a new item. So when I check the event listener whenever the button gets clicked, on click, I am making sure the selected item is not set to -1. It's not set to -1, nothing has been selected. Or in this thing, it's not, something has been selected. If it is not -1, something has got selected. Because the default value is -1. Now, if you have other than -1, there's some value got selected. So that value I'm using it for a editing purpose. Instead, it is having the value -1. We can simply add. I think this logic is slightly confusing for you. I'll probably will show you a straight away logic. This is for add purpose. Both is fine. Whatever logic you want to choose. If it is -1, it is for entry purpose. The value nothing has been selected. It is a new addition. If it is something, it will edit it. So whatever way, the previous one, this one, whatever way. Let us see if this works. And also when the edit is done, we have to make sure the value set to add again for that, for next anything which is going to be added in the subsequent phases. Remember, I can also trigger a new activity on each item clicks, because item click I can get an index and pass the value to the next value, next activity if at all required. In this case I don't want, but I can do it. We have to add the persistence engine. So now I have 3 items. I'm going to click mango. I'm going to change the quantity. You can change anything. see that the value successfully edited. It won't add a new entry. And again fields emptied and it is for
Add that set item, updated the value. And how do you display it? Add items. Okay, display it after that.
see this is for add, this is for edit.
Okay, after that.
Set. After that, this thing gets refreshed, irrespective of edit or add, it will simply refresh and display it. All I'm just manipulating the array list. I'm just changing. That's what I said. I may need an indexing capability for my array list because whatever content of my array list, the list view can display. So now I'm just manipulating the list view and changing, or I'm either editing. For example, in this case, set. This makes sure the particular indexed hash map is edited. Whereas in this case, the previous, the if condition will make sure it is added. This is where I'm creating hash map and the same hash map used for add. And this is the common one that after refreshed and the editor values are displayed. So we have made sure edit works. And what else we have? Delete alone. So we have to write a functionality for it. Okay. I will be willing to introduce context menu, but I am going to use something slightly different. Context menu. Okay, we know options menu. I hope. What is option menu? Typically, it is retrieved while clicking some navigation in the action bar. Register, whatever it is. On create option menu, everything. But there is one more menu system called context menu. A context menu, it's specific to one particular button, particular view. A context menu can be thrown or called only when a particular item long pressed. Context menu means always have a keyword long press. So the context menu can be opened only when a particular item is long pressed. That can also be used, but there is a couple of other ways to throw what is, for example, in this case we have a list view. So assuming the list view item is long pressed, I'm going to delete it. Let us add one more event listener. List view set on item long click listener. Just notice there is one more event listener available. Whenever a list view item is long pressed, same thing. Okay, we are going to delete it. Before that, we have to throw a dialog. I'm going to write a user-defined function. Sorry, JavaScript influence. Okay, dialogues are also a kind of inflated layouts. Dialogues is going to be displayed on screen on your activity, but it is not part of your layout. It is going to be added on the top. It's going to be inflated. So, easiest way to create a dialogue, just pay attention. It is there under alert dialog. What the hell is support? Okay. Builder. But it's need. I hope it is context. Builder. Builder is a subclass of alert dialog. That's why the dot is there. It's a class. You can define positive, negative buttons or affirmative or cancel buttons, title of your dialog, every specification which is required for your dialog. So builder set title, setting the message. Do you can define it? Builder set positive button. Okay. We need to give an event listener for it because whether the OK is clicked. So new on click listener. This time the on click listener may be a little different. It has a prefix dialog interface. The normal on click listener will have view dot on click listener. This event listener is slightly different. It is for a dialog. Positive button is done. Proceed. Delete. We will add the feature. Another one, the negative button. User may feel okay, no, sorry, not needed. Cancel. Sorry, I don't want to delete it. You don't do anything. You can't just leave them. And builder, you want to make set cancelable. You know that back button will dismiss your dialog. If you want to change the behavior, you can set the cancelable set to false. Otherwise, don't define it. Sometimes it has to be honored. We have to force the user either click or OK or cancel button. So set to false. If you set to true, the back button will dismiss the dialog. Now the builder instance is ready. Now create your alert dialog. Display it. Remember, this is the same procedure to create notification also, which one appears on the top. The procedure to create is, first you need to build it. Build the dialog interface. Building a dialog interface, setting the title, the message, what you want to put, the positive and the negative button, affirmative, cancel button, whatever. When your builder is ready, attached to your dialog class, yes, builder is ready, attached to a dialog, alert dialog class, and file is show. So when this particular function is called, you will have a dialog popping up. So let me try that. Display dialog at this point. At least we'll display the dialog, then see how it comes. Again, I may need to enter things. The database will at least take 1 hour. After that, then I'll leave you guys for your hands-on. Anyway, this itself quite a lot of content I have already added. Okay, now this one for simple click, just I click or tapping, I can use it for editing. When I am going to click long press, I'm getting a dialog. So the title, the message, the affirmative, and the cancel button. You can override the design by adding your own design, but default itself will suffice most of the time for your requirement. Sometimes your innovative client will come and say cancel should come here and OK should come here. That's up to you. But this alert dialog is inflating. Remember, it is inflating, but the background grayed out, and this is just floating on the top. So alert dialog can be thrown by creating the builder instance. First, you have to define a builder, define whatever the interfaces of title, message, positive negative button handlers, of course the title and all this stuff. When the user opt for OK, it will be deleted. The user can still dismiss without doing it. I set the cancelable to false, so it won't go when I click back button. But if you do not define or if you set the cancelable set to true, it can be dismissed by clicking back button. Default is true. Default can be dismissed. It's up to you. Sometimes you would force the user to honor it. In that case, you can set it to false. But we haven't added a logic so far. Both won't delete anything. So we have to add the logic from that. In order to delete, I need a position of a. Okay, let me add one. Selected item I may need. I'm just going to slightly modify. So here I'm going to delete. It is items. Remove. Okay, it has to be final. Cannot be modified. That's fine. So when it is removed, the your array list manipulated. You have to reload your adapter. Okay, I think I am going to need this to be. I'll do one thing. Create a method. Yeah. Reload adapter. This will be good. Wherever we want, we can call it. I'm going to move. See the design strategy. As things needed, I am trying to move around and trying to define user-defined function wherever needed. A good potential developer will try to reuse as much as code possible. In my case, instead of writing one more adapter, I simply created a method, I reused it. So the same strategy you guys have to follow throughout your development. Okay, now it is ready. So let us put a toast. Now I'm inside some class. That's it. This part only executed only when the user click on OK and the cancel. Of course, if you want to handle something, you can handle it. Otherwise, leave it. Sometimes you want to refresh your adapter, you can do it if you want. So now our list not only has an option to add, it also has an option to edit, and also it has an option to delete. The entire crew or CRUD, I don't know what it is, that has been added at this point. Okay. If you really want to slightly have a design modified, you can move this particular filling form. For example, if your form is quite bigger, sometime student record you want to enter. I mean, student record nobody is going to enter in your specific form. But if at all you have a composite data, you can create a new activity, let the user enter into that activity, and whenever the user finish it, come back and refresh your list view to update the content. It's up to your design strategy. I'm pretty bored to add this thing. Oh, what is that? Okay. Let us delete it. So, a kind of perfect app, almost ready. Not in terms of security, but at least this thing works. Now, everything is done, but this particular app is lacking the persistent engine. Pardon? It will be adjusted automatically. That's the power of array list in Java. Like, it has this auto indexing capability. So the indexes will be automatically adjusted. That's the reason, normal Java array does not contain any indexing capability. You need to define its size and fixed amount of data. But whereas array list, having an option to index itself, giving you option to append the content, and automatically the index is being modified. That's the standard Java array list. It's nothing to do with the Android at this point. But our design is, it is always looking for the array list. Whatever array list content is there, this particular adapter is going to pick up. So I am manipulating the array list, let the view update itself, and this thing is working as expected. Now, beyond to this point, without a database, we find no use. The data has to be persistent. But the problem with this, it involves a lot of design level changes. One, I'm going to introduce a new data set. In this case, the data set was the array list of hash map, which we are attaching to the simple adapter and displaying the values as required. But a simple adapter may be useful if you have a static content like this, and may not be static at this point, but locally generated. You remember every time I'm refreshing the entire adapter. But whereas the database is going to give me a different data set. That data set name is cursor. Uh, if you know Java and database stuff, you will call that as a result set. A result set is a data type which carries some sort of indexing. Passing that index, you can retrieve the respective fields. It means whenever a query is done, you will get a result set. So select star from student's record. The result, what you get is a kind of object called result set in Java. That result set is like a bundler. It has a various information. You need to supply the key and retrieve the value. Key in this case, your table field. So when you supply the table field, you can get the value. But the problem is, the result set is the indexed one. Because select start from student records, you will get a bunch of 100 records. So first thing I need to make sure I need to go to the index 0 on the top of position, then get the value, and then move the index to 1, then get all the values. I should retrieve it. So I may be requiring kind of a loop statement to retrieve the value. Same scenario we are going to do it here. But instead of that result set, I'm going to name it as a cursor. So a cursor is a data set. That data set contains the information of your table fields or your data records. Before that, we have to create a table. We have to create a database, we have to create a table. Of course, various things we have to do. Let's see. This is a second set of things. I'm going to use this shopping class because it is less used. I'm going to convert this as a database class or database helper because it is still now a lot of number and probably a lot of fields being defined over here. Pardon? Okay. But where's your energy drink? Nothing has come so far. You have to call them? Okay. Okay, anyway, let me stop it.